two series that have become staples of science fiction as we know it today. And have you ever wondered about the great debate of which is better? Well, I'm going to answer that question for you today. And spoiler alert, the answer is Star Trek. And before you start waving your lightsabers at me, allow me to explain. Because while Star Wars is certainly entertaining, Star Trek leaves a much more meaningful and long-lasting impact on its audience. Where Star Wars inspires young generations to play with glow sticks, Star Trek has driven technological advancement that benefits all of us. Just look at your phones. They were inspired by Star Trek, use them on a daily basis. For some of us, even every hour, maybe even during this very talk. And this was inspired by Star Trek. The creator of the phone, Martin Cooper, said that Kurt's communicator was not just fantasy to him, but a goal, one he achieved. So next time you're sending a Star Wars meme to a friend, remember that without Star Trek, you'd be sending that meme by carrier pigeon. And that's not all. Star Trek has also influenced tons of technology, from medical scanners to virtual reality. On the other hand, there are no Death Stars in production. And of course the stories, where in Star Wars you get fascinating plot twists about whether or not the main character is related to a sister. In Star Trek, it's basically a philosophy lesson, but with spaceships and lasers. It uses its utopian and peaceful setting to address real-world social issues, using technology and negotiation to solve problems instead of violence, using different alien species cooperating as a metaphor for how we should come together despite our differences in the real world. And it's science fiction, so we have to talk about science. I myself am doing biochemistry, and if I had not watched Star Trek when I was younger, and saw that I could create my own army of mutants to take over the world, I may have not gone into science. A much more notable example of this effect is Mae Jemison, an astronaut who was inspired by Lieutenant Uhura in Star Trek, The Next Generation, in Star Trek, the original series. And a minority character playing a technical role at a time when diversity in America was very uncommon. And this allowed her to not only become part of Star Trek metaphorically, by being the first African-American woman to go to space, but literally, when she acted in Star Trek Next Generation a few years later. In the end, while Star Wars is certainly entertaining, I like The Goblin and the Terrible Grammar as much as the next person. Star Trek promotes diversity, inspires innovation, and shows a vision of a better world made through technological and societal changes. And no Jedi mind trick can convince me otherwise. After all, Star Trek is the best. Live long and prosper.